Hi, this is Katja Kunterbund. My name is Kat, and we are doing a 12th night. So we can also call it 13 rough nights. And you are tuning in at the third part of the first session. So from my perspective, that's January. And from your perspective, that's just the next month, the month that's about to come. And as I said, this is part number 3, so you might want to watch part 1 and 2, and they are linked down below. Or you can directly tune into the reading where we are. Good. And by the way, my kid today plays Sleeping Giant too, so it's so funny. And he is very ancient, and it's my third kid, and he is very, very rooted to Amazonite and all that energy, deep energy. Deep galactic frequencies. And he carries a lot of this deep blue whale energy also, you know, this memory of the consciousness, of the ancient consciousness. So, and he loves giants, that's why I'm mentioning him. Whenever we had a board game, you know, how's it called? I mean a real 3D game to play on the table. And there were, for example, a little sweet fairy and, you know, this and that, and the unicorn and whatever. He took the ugly giant, right? And we love that so much because that was just who he was, right? He identified with that, like, I'm that, you know. And he's not ugly, right? But it's kind of this energy and what he's carrying. Also, he loves some animals, you know. He also loves cats, but he also loves, you know, those crazy deep sea beings who really look like aliens and who are quite dangerous sometimes. But he loves all these creatures, these ancient creatures. And yeah, so I don't know why they wanted to be mentioned, and I don't even know names of these, but I kind of see a stream of deep sea right now with, you know, those who have these triangle forms, and then those, I guess it's called lampion fish, who has a lamp kind of to lure people in, and then he has this big teeth, and I don't know, and so some really, and self-luminous is a thing here. Yeah, also this color again. This is kind of thick, deep sea with this ghost light in it. And that's interesting, like phosphor maybe even. And this is an inner realm, right? 8. I mean, all it's yin energy, so all even numbers are yin energy, and so they are internal, just so you know, if you didn't know before. And so this is also an internal thing, actually. We should think about that, they are saying. We should think about how these contracts are really internal things, because it's us who are committing. And now they are saying, yes, see, and with the bowing down, we had that. So yeah, they were really, really, and they are just, you know, are the spirit realm that's communicating through me right now. And they were really referring to this bowing down. And I love it so much when cards are linked to real physical little events or sequences in my life, because that's super strong confirmation. And I actually had like a bowl with spaghetti earlier today, and I kind of had so many things and not real space to eat properly, and then I just took them and I felt like, oh, I'm kind of bending my head so forward. I never did that before, you know. I had my legs up, and I was observing what I was doing. I was like, that looks really like a yoga pose, what you are doing right now. That's a little bit crazy, and that's not how we should eat at all. But my guides were saying, yeah, maybe you should, it's fine. And I was like, okay, so I let it be. And it was just, a little kind of necessary snack, because this mouth here needs to speak right now, and it needed to be fueled, right? So that was fine. And I studied kind of the movement also, so it was super important to really remember that, to kind of also with the kundalini, with the snake here, right? This is, yeah, so our channel is of course linked through our nervous system, through our spine in the physical world, as above so below, and in our physical body vessel, this all is in the spine, and the root chakra and the crown chakra, and in between we have the spine and the kundalini and all the stages, and the crossing points, that's the main chakra points, by the way. And so it's very important to get the spine bended and bowed, right? So this was the message, and now they are showing me as if this tree is dancing and kind of bending in all directions, like rotating. Even I'm seeing it like this rotation. Yeah, so, and I did a little bit of that then, after this little snack where I was reminded to kind of do something with my back, right, with my spine, to be better prepared. And we have a saying also, we are as old as our spine is. So can you sit down on the floor and then get up without using your hands? Try that. That shows your age. Like your kind of spiritual age, or like your real, because you need to have a strong spine and balance to just go up, right? Then without putting your hand down to give you this push and to push you into balance. So it's, and this is an interesting message, because it's important to not, as I said, with not, you must not look, what others do at Etsy or whatever, but just align with your core frequency again, right? With your own channel, with your own vessel. Super important. Super important. And I can tell you also, so right before, or in, obviously I also watch other YouTube tarot readings. Of course I do that. And but while I was preparing to really release my own stuff, they said, so now comes the period where you are not allowed to watch anything, because you need to totally fully tune into yourself. And yeah, I did that. Of course, I follow orders, right? I mean, not everyone's, of course. But from my higher self, of course. I mean, that's important, right? To listen to our guidance. So, and whatever you do, you might have, and of course, before, at some point, there was a time where my guides would ask me, so, okay, so from every kind of reading type, like, which one do you like most and why? We have those periods also where we would look. So it's not a sin to, if you create something, to look in the world what is already created. You can do that. And that's kind of in the early stages, when you see, okay, what are other people doing? And so, for example, oh yeah, we can take a piece of paper and we can take a pen and we can draw a picture. Yeah, that's possible on Earth, right? That's kind of, we tune in as a kind of newborn kid, and in kindergarten we give them, see, you can draw with this thing. See, you can, see, this is a ball. You can throw it, and you can, hold it, and you can, I don't know. So it's kind of, we kind of learn these things, how a bicycle functions and whatever. But then when you know how it all works, then comes the point where you have to kind of throw it all away, and you have to tune into fully yourself, your own. Especially, I'm hearing, if you are doing music, that's important, because the moment you would open your mouth and try to sing your tone if you have too many tones of other people in your ears, right, too many sounds playing there, your voice would sound like that, right? Great message for all of us. I mean, if there's anyone out there listening, hello, I love you all very much. That was a ride, and now they are saying it's time to look for that, and I forgot the name, but and I don't have anything of, oh yeah, it's Sapphire, of course, it's Sapphire. And it says you have the power and strength, but judge wisely. Sapphire is, there is a great spiritual line, kind of, I'm hearing line linked to that. It's kind of very royal, and Sapphire, it's, I have read a lot about Sapphire, but I totally forgot right now. But it is said, what was that? Is there anything relevant? It's kind of the clarity and sharpness, right? It's, but is it the transcendence? I guess, if I'm correct, it's about the, I have to reread that, I guess, but it's about the, what's even the word in English? Like how solid something is. How, yeah, solid. So look that up, sapphire, diamond, there is a thing, you know, diamond, of course, but sapphire, it's something else, right? It's another, it's a whole other level, spiritually. Maybe I will read into that. But maybe it's meant to be a little bit mysterious, and you can kind of read into that for yourself. And maybe it's just like with angel numbers, check out Sapphire for yourself, and whatever you find, that's your message. See what I mean? So maybe do that. But I love how it says, but judge wisely. And we had that with the forgiveness and the disillusion. Disappointment means disillusion, and that means that in the first place we ourselves were misaligned, and we had false expectations, and we were expecting from the world to bring the two cups towards us, but we just have learned that's an internal process to really internally, and it wants to be shown internally, kind of reunite within ourselves, with all our, you know, being, frequency. And yeah, mostly it goes like that in life, that we put out yang energy and we expect yin energy coming towards us or something, and then maybe in a couple situation, then both are like more in yang and we want, and then it's like, but why aren't you giving me, right? And so it's yeah, it's interesting. And also, of course, see how many facets here they are showing here to us. That's kind of all facets of yourself, and mostly we are, of course, trained to only show, let's say, this bright green one here, which looks beautiful, right, to the world. The world wants to see the green, so we show the world the green. The world does not like the moody violet, so we kind of hide that away, right? The world also don't wants to see our clear-cut truth, so we hide that away. And we only show this mild green, which is totally adaptive and totally nice. But yeah, actually, you know what I mean? That's our shadow then, what we kind of don't show the world, and we need to be fully aware of that. And again, 360 degrees, full circle, everything in intrinsic. What does that word have to say there? They are also showing me that my Archangel Raphael card looks totally similar. Isn't that interesting? It's from that deck where we have also Gabriel seen. And it also looks, of course, pretty much like birthing. So it's a little bit crazy. It looks very divine feminine organs. Like, so yeah. And so this is about the birthing process again, they are saying. And see, oh yeah, so this is kind of, this is how the clock goes, right? And this is how time is, this is how death goes, they are saying. But otherwise, the other counterclockwise, this is how life unfolds, see? This is how the sun will go up. Nice, nice, nice. I love these little sweet, deep spiritual things just inserted every now and then. So we do have Amazonite and Sapphire, and they look pretty similar. But Sapphire can have, yeah, it can have multiple colors actually. That was the thing, I guess. I read about that also. Even yellow, right? Sapphire can have a lot of colors. So what is that with Sapphire? They are drawing my attention to ayahuasca again. So it has to do with that, with this higher self truth. And what I read, I mean, it's really a month or years ago, it was something about highest manifestation of, we write it in the comments, okay? Later. So where are we? We had the inner contract, right? It goes, oh yeah, it's nice. Also with the 2, that's so nice, right? The blue and the white, it's kind of, yeah, your truth, you know? It's not love and light only, but it's love, light, truth. Without our truth, we are not ourselves. And when we are not ourselves, we can't bear fruits, because then, as I said before, the cherry tree would try to produce apples. And that would end out fine, right? So again, back to this. So we had this giant past energy, ancient. And then, and by the way, everything what comes out in a reading, I will create then on my page as a piece of art. So it will take me a few days maybe, but maybe not. Maybe I do that tomorrow. But then this will be, there will be something created with that, if you want to kind of tune into that. And this says elixir of life, right? Like amrit, like nectar. And I love so much how it's really the same. We have the hair here, and see how this is kind of the roots of the trees. And yeah, it's kind of super similar energy. I love that. And of course it's all the desert colors, but there we find then this elixir within ourselves. And it's in the roses here, in the aura of the rose. So that is very much speaking about, again, a cave space, a sacred space, an inner space. This is in the inner realms. Just like that, you know, it's in the innermost sacred chamber. So what is that? Oh, now they are saying interesting. See, that comes through. So I was shopping kind of last time for Christmas, just going out, seeing, do we need anything? And I was drawn to buy extra package of salt, and I understood, yes, that makes sense for the smoke nights, right? not to say rough nights, rough days, rough nights. Yeah, and this is actually Celle des Alpes, right? It's from the Alps in Europe. And this is said to be spiritually a space with this chamber, what I was just mentioning. It's like the cave, it speaks about your origin. So, yeah. Maybe that's why there is this kind of machine built, right? To kind of disrupt the frequency. So I don't know. So let's not speak about that. But yeah, it's this kind of this, you know, three. I always, at some point, I guess, in every reading, I end up making this gesture, and they are saying yes, and do that with all fingers together again. This is very, very good to also just align yin and yang energy. And it's great. They are saying, I shall tell you. So it's great to do that as an exercise, actually also for this card, to ground this alignment inside of you, also with both your yin yang, you know, with both your aspects, because that was speaking about that. So we show just, you know, we show how much we can give, we show how much we can bring to the table. But actually, the other person also needs to see where we are, where they can bring to the table, where we are opening up to receive. Like, we all need to kind of show a little bit of our wounds, maybe even, right? Of course, not to a stranger, but you know what I mean. It's about really showing both streams. So like, what do I like to give out, and what do I like to take in, right? I like to take in, for example, fruits. I love that, right? So whenever my kid goes shopping, I say, please bring fruits, not only spaghetti, right? He's 16, by the way, so he does the shopping mostly. But so every now and then I feel called to do it, and that's mostly because there is something. And so this time it was really just about the salt and the Alps. How interesting. And I do have salt, of course, at home, and actually I also have kind of a salt package, because you know, I just want to share everything which works for me like perfectly from my journey. And so 7 salts, that's also a thing you will find in my shop at some point. But I don't want to kind of disrupt the reading, but 7 salts that wanted to be kind of mentioned. Again, 7 chakras, right? And it's about the cleansing of the 7 chakras. And so we can do that wonderfully with those 7 salts, and aligning and linking that to, yeah, you know, being a human in a 3D world, it's just good to do. And that's also what shamans do, right? That's kind of just shamanic work, to kind of link experiences and intentions and visions and illumination and ascension and everything, link that with real 3D experiences. And also we have that here a lot with this deepest physical body stuff. Also with that, right, cellular level and highest light, and it must be, that's also something what must unite, right? And we have a lot of the split spiritual physical in the community, I mean, right? In the spiritual community, we kind of, there's a disruption, there's a disconnect, and it's part of my purpose to bring that together. That's why I have Saturn and my North Node is in the 8th house, so that's spiritual, that's the occult, but it's in Capricorn, so that's again physical, but it's the light, it's the structure of the body, so it's the bone. So I very much work, as you see, with these for example numerology, but shapes, form, structure, right? That's very much yeah. And also time, of course. So I did a ton of coaching and workshops, and so it's always beautiful to work with time on earth. I think about that a lot, how important that is. And what we are doing right now also, of course, it's using this window of time in between the years and using it and focusing on, okay, what's most important for January, just to bring us back, right? What's most important for January, it's this alignment with all we are, right? Accepting us full, right, with this angel card, because radical acceptance of reality, that is the easiest path to happiness, right? And then only if we are who we are, then we can grow. Otherwise, this poor tree would think, I need to go this way. But his nature would call him to go that way. And then he would say, no, I need to go this way because someone said so. Or I need to go that way because someone said so. Well, that brings you nowhere, actually. You have to really realign and with your root. And now they are showing me this goes so, like deep inside the earth core, like really deep in there. Like they are showing me this as a 3D thing. And actually, I draw things like that as a kid a lot. I'm born away, kind of. And so I draw a lot of spirals and stuff, and even tried as a very young kid to explain how consciousness evolves, actually. So this is kind of, and I love that this spiral is here for January, because it's a great starting point, of course. Yeah, and now we are with the bowing down and the child. That was a message in itself. Thank you. Because I looked up yoga poses, what's the best to do for this, what I was feeling, for this experience of this spine bending and also trusting. And I heard child. And then I was, oh yeah, yoga pose child. Okay, let me give you a picture. So I have, this is a nice picture. You can see it, right? So it's just bending forward, and she does it good because she's fully relaxed and fully, So you see how in the root it's like fully. You really need to relax here at this point, right? This is important. This point, this is kind of the base of the spine. We need to fully relax here and sink deep into the earth. And then from that point on, you would kind of sink deeper. And yes, I'm a yoga instructor, right? You would sink, I did a lot of those courses earlier. So you would sink with every spine. You would let it sink down, like bit by bit. Again, the baby steps. How nice. And that's what we are called to do, because this is how we kind of root the new year in the roots, right? Root chakra. We anchor it in the root chakra, and then and this is kind of what I will do, that like this month, like every morning. And maybe for every month we can kind of pick up a yoga pose. That would be really nice. And then that would be really nice. I love that. For sure we can do that. I will find one, and then we can to really anchor in the energy, because that was what I was speaking about right now, right before that, how important it is to physically express. And even with time, I spoke about that, like dedicate, like take a certain amount of time. That's why we create workshops anyway, right? Or these readings right now. That's, for me, it's like giving a workshop, actually. It's kind of the same energy. And it's good to say, so it's now I'm doing that, now I'm filming, now it's like, and then I go full circle, of course. And when we are not dedicating our time to doing this, we would only tune in a little bit, it's just like scrolling on social media instead of reading a book, kind of that thing. So it's important to dedicate time on something that is important and to do it deeply. So yeah, that was a message from Tibet, actually, some ascendant masters, yeah. So yeah, and then as I said, spine by spine, right? And then super important, and I'm not sure she isn't doing that to the fullest. I can immediately see that. So her shoulders here, she needs to be a little bit more relaxed, right? But she concentrates, I feel, a lot on having the head in the correct position for the picture also, and she concentrates a little bit on looking good and even here, I guess, because she's taking a picture, right? So this is always, this is the message in itself again. But yeah, so you would put your forehead on the floor, and this is a great gesture to put your forehead on Gaia. Honor, I'm hearing honor your ancient being, like the stone underneath your feet, right? This is your ancient, this is our ancestors even. Ooh, okay. And then, of course, also let that sink down, right? This area, really relax here. Release the tension in the shoulder area. It's not about having a straight line or anything here. No, it's really about what she is doing pretty good here in the root chakra, really. It's pretty released, but if you feel like you want to go a little bit deeper, you can also put the knees a little bit more to the side and really, you know, really, you got it, right? Oh man. Okay. So, but yeah, I love that. Of course, I thought also at one point I need to do some, I mean, I'm working on a yoga deck also. I'm working on a book actually, but yeah, a yoga deck would be good. So I do have, okay, I do have one deck of my own I have already ready. And I don't know, shall we go into that right now? Let me ask. They were saying, wait a minute, and I should show you that. So on every sheet of the month, I also have other little crystals, and for this month, only this one came through. And so it looks like a piece of, I don't know what, you know, really, I don't know. It looks a little bit like a ruby splitter, but makes sense, right? And this goes very well with elixir of life. And we also have this red here. And we just mentioned the root chakra and this child pose. And I feel that that was the kind of time. Oh, and they are saying, see, and this is about the root chakra too. Interesting. So the root chakra is about life, right? And so this is about something in life was missing. And so you are going and getting your life, right? How it should be, aligned with your higher purpose, aligned with your higher values, right? We had that. Nice. Now I want to read to you this red light here, which is so beautiful. It says, one step at a time. I see the mountain ahead and dedicate myself to taking one small step at a time. I make progress by staying focused on the present moment, the current task. Thus, I regain my ease of living. And I felt that with the child pose so much, because also with this trust, you know, child pose is a lot about regaining trust, but also finding grounding and also finding kind of back to this peace in ourselves. And I thought about a little peace, but it's also about peace, of course, where we let go to just being, you know, happy actually, and again, happiness, and yeah, with nothing attached to happiness. So that's the message, the most important message they are saying of this January is do not attach anything to your happiness. So for my example, let's say I do a reading 1st January, 2nd January, 3rd, and all month. And even at the 31, even after 30 days, no one has watched a single video of mine. That should not at all kind of disrupt my current, because what I'm doing, it's like I'm right here and I'm kind of building my frequency. And so of course, it's, and whatever you do, same, right? When I started doing workshops, that's like ages ago, but I remember, for example, I had, that's just for you, right? When I had the first big client, and I thought, wow, that's great, big client. We always think like that, by the way, when we start, and that's not so wise also, because it's not wise to kind of rely on big clients. That's not how life functions. Life functions like the angels are sending you little helpers everywhere, right? And you are safe the more clients you have, actually. And it's not about getting one big opportunity. That's just the BS that they are telling you here on this plane. But that's not how it works. But of course, back then I was thinking, yeah, great, I have this one big client, that's great. And they were opening their book and they were like, yeah, let's say November sounds good for us. That looks great. Then we have nothing here. Then we can do like everything in a row, and kind of a lot of days in a row. And then and they wanted to do it then, every year again. But that November they were referring, we just had November. And so it was kind of a long time to go there. And I had, of course, thought I can kind of have an appointment earlier. And I even thought I can have maybe every month an appointment there or something like that. But it was like, no, it will all come in November. And oh, how interesting. In our month here with November was something very special. You will see that when we are there. Very interesting. So, and so that would be kind of 11 months, right? So whatever we are developing right now will be kind of grown in 11 months. Then it will be stable. I mean, I like that. And so the first month, right, that's about trust and totally tuning into your ancient core tune. Like, it's this deep attunement, and even with what they are pointing out with the baby step and being in the present moment, and really, like, I am kind of finding my footing through doing the reading and realizing, okay, that's just how it goes at my place, right? I can't do anything else but be myself. And so, yeah, and I, for example, when I shall bring an example of what I'm doing, I think, oh, maybe that's not appropriate, right? But then right after that example, I see the link. And so now I feel, yeah, that's okay, right? That's okay. That's fine. So our human experiences and what we can refer to, that of course is a deck in itself. And now they are saying, yeah, like, show your deck, that's fine, right? And so this is kind of the first deck I have printed now, and I have kind of ton in preparation and in the making, because I'm kind of constantly doing art and constantly channeling and constantly receiving like overwhelming amounts of messages. So yeah, I don't know how many decks I will have out in November, but maybe I can do, I mean, one in a month for sure, but maybe one in a week, I don't know. So that again, we had that in an ancestral reading for the year, kind of as a starting point. So it makes sense, right, that this showed up. That's about burning old contracts. Okay, I mean, it is about... They are like, hello, can't you see how this is relevant? I'm like, but we had that card before. And they are like, yeah, but remember where we are at. Yes, we are at the rough nights, right? The smoke nights. It's about smoke. It's about burning away the old imprints. That's exactly what this whole reading is about. Oh my goodness. So I read it. Wait. I'm sorry, my eyes aren't that good. And so it says, flame invocation. Fire is a powerful magical tool. Burning outdated paperwork can set you free energetically from outdated contracts and beliefs and cause a phoenix moment. So yeah, so they wanted to have that again. I understand. Makes sense, right? So we burn the old that's actually what we have done here, right? So not only walking away, but maybe really emptying the cups now. So now's the time to, you see these 8 cups? Okay, so what belief do we kind of get rid of, right? Just put it out there, empty it, burn it. I mean, you've heard it, what's written on there, and I have channeled that. So this is, yeah, and I do stuff like that, of course, myself. So it's great spiritual work. So because we have the candle, we need to do that really clear sentient here and not shuffling. I do want to ask if there is anything else, but I also want to ask actually, the sapphire wants to go back here if we do have something else here, right? So the sapphire, that's really, that bothers me a little bit, that I can't provide this kind of ancient wisdom, which feels like, it feels like it is right there, but see, it's in the shadows somehow. And what was that? Oh yeah. Right, that belongs right here. This fall, I want to use this deck in the end. It's very nice angel messages, little ones. And this fall down while I was preparing, and it makes so much sense because it says the key is to be more grounded. And it's so logical, right? That we need to ground in January. And that's why I actually hate that the calendar is shifting in the middle of winter, because it is the time to be fully grounded. And yeah, we shall speak again about the tree. See, where I live, and it's winter then, right? And so in January, that's kind of midwinter, and that's when there are no leaves, only with the evergreens, of course, but there are no leaves. And then even the trunk has retreated its fire, right? It's all retreated actually into the very core of the tree. And it only survives, yeah, wonderful, thanks. It only survives what can withstand the freezing, the cold, the harshness, the roughness. Ooh. And from that, which is then really, you know, you, like true you. From that, then you can kind of, with the green here, with this fresh spring green, create the new cycle. New year, new life, new world. Right? That's kind of the title of the whole series. New year, new life, new world. That's what we are creating. New year, new life, new world. And new world, that's of course what we are all up to, right? Creating this fifth dimensional, rooted, deeply rooted. And that's why we need to tune into our ancient being. And that's why we need to ground ourselves even more. And the yoga pose, what came through here, right? This is super good advice. I feel that totally.